I also want to sort of jump back to the role that you play, and really I know I thank you for it, but you guys do something that we don't. There's the role that you play at the doors, and I'll take it on you. I'm wondering why you're not outdoor knocking right now, but you're here for the good reason. Is indispensable for our jobs. That I have a different conversation at the doors than you do, and your eyes and ears are incredibly important to how we shape policy, how we collate data. It is clear that there's a candidate bias. You know, you'll hear people at the door saying, "I love you, George, but I'm not voting for you." They're not necessarily. I mean, they may be voting for George, but let's be honest, they're not going to vote for Marc Miller because they say that's a nice guy and they don't like the other guy. There's a bias, and there isn't necessarily when you go and have a conversation. You don't have to be experts on policy. If you are, feel free. But you just need to go out there and have conversations. Leave people a nice impression of what it is to be involved in the Liberal Party. Hopefully you don't have dogs sent after you. And not that, you know, I walked into a drug den at one point. So I felt like and they said they were voting for us because we were legalizing cannabis. We're not legalizing that stuff, guys. And then we left. So you know, stuff does happen, but you do get important data. You collect it. You get it into the database. And some of the things that seem counterintuitive, because we all want to go out and convert the next person, but all the data we get actually makes a difference at the door. And when you win an election by 92 votes or even 1%, 2%, it has been proven that the Liberal Party is best at converting those ones with the 5% margins in it. But that takes groundwork, and more you can't just do this through phone calls. And so that means that the real conversations, and we all became a bit weird during COVID. Let's admit it, last election was a bit weird. It felt like their social instincts were kind of cutting out after about 10 minutes. And that sort of was I felt like it was an odd election. That is something that, you know, we can't escape. And we can't escape the impact that has had on our society and some of the nuttiness that we're feeling today. I feel it's probably easing up a bit. But those conversations and that human interaction is absolutely indispensable, and you do it better than us just because of the volume. You're outnumbering George and me probably 50-1. That makes a difference. That volume counts, and the footwork and the grunt work really counts. So there's nothing, we can't replace that. And frankly, when we go to get nominated, you can actually take us out if you don't like our policies, and you probably should if you don't like our policies. And I think that's something that we need to recognize, because that's the power that you have in your hands, and it's the power of democracy. And we need to respect that no matter how long we've been in power. And frankly, governments that forget about that often get reminded that, either through the general populations or through heated nominations. Again, I haven't knocked probably as many doors as a lot of you in the room. That may feel shameful, but it's true. You know, you get stuck doing other things. But all you need to do is get 4 out of 10. You really don't even need a passing grade. You just need to get that out, and that should focus your mind. If you get 4 or 5 rejections, don't feel terrible, and you don't feel you have to prosecute or know every policy point. You can refer that back to George or whoever the candidate is. Make his life difficult a bit. But it is. I think we want just to get a good feeling from the door, get some data, and get as much intelligence so that on election day we're getting people out and winning. Ridings. And again, these are not the most easily won ridings. And I know my chief of staff, Mike, said that it's not easy being a Liberal in Montreal. I say it's not that easy, because often Montrealers have a swag, and often you're anonymous, and that's actually, it's got some good and some bad, but it is a humbling experience to walk as a candidate in Montreal, because sometimes everyone's busy doing other things, and they have no idea who you are. But that's good. It's humbling. Whereas if you're in a rural riding, you can't get out of your door without meeting someone that will come up to you. But again, I love my job. I'm going to fight like hell so that no one will take that away from me. Immigration has become a hot topic in the last year. It's no secret that the consensus on immigration that we fought, everyone in this room pretty much has fought really hard to build, is under threat. I would say through human frailty, but also through the winds that are blowing against any country in a situation like ours, whether it's in Europe or to our biggest ally in the south of us. But we're lucky so far to have no major party that is anti-immigration. There's some nut jobs, and there's a People's Party that spews all sorts of crap. We need to fight back against that, and we need to be proud about the immigration system that we have. You can have a rational discussion about the border. You can have a rational discussion about immigration generally. You can have a rational discussion about the immigration system. You can be pro some, against the others, and a mix of things. We have to have that reasonable conversation. And my job with a government that's been very open and continues to be and should be, is to make sure that that immigration system has some credibility, it has some rationality to it, and it's making some very difficult decisions in a context where we are still an open country, when we value the need. We actually don't have a choice but to have immigration. Even if we were to have the biggest baby boom in our recent history, we wouldn't be able to, at least for a period of 20 years where people become productive, fill all the jobs that are still there without immigration. So that's the stark reality. It's a generational thing that we can't ignore. Otherwise, we get into situations that we see other countries facing. Look at South Korea, look at some countries that have highly aging populations, and they are facing challenges to elements in their society that have defined them. And in our country, if we don't do this, we will face challenges to things that define us: the healthcare system, taking care of the most elderly, childcare, all the things in the social programs that have become part of our DNA, and that's absolutely key. All these things come with challenges, affordability, all these things. But what I don't want to see is people blaming immigrants for absolutely everything. Immigrants didn't bring up the interest rate. I'd be surprised the day we credit immigrants for bringing down the interest rate, but no one's going to talk about that. The reality is we can't scapegoat people. We're a loving country. We all love each other. Just look around the room. I'm in politics because of what this room looks like, and I'm not getting out of politics unless someone takes me out of it. And I do think in the next election we do face some challenges. It's no secret I don't like Pierre Poilievre. Even more so, I don't like his policies. I do think that he's selling snake oil to people, and it's something that is scary because we can't buy into it. We've all been fooled once, and that's fine. But if we get fooled twice, that's really shame on us. And we need to fight back, have some rational conversations, and let us get weaponized by that toxic rhetoric that spews out of his mouth and through the party's mouth. We're not going to win this election through slogans. It's nice to have a few ones here and there, but it can't define policy. Canadians are smart. They smell crap when they see it, and I think they'll smell it in the next election. But we need you guys to get it out. You have more credibility within your social circles than I would naturally, because people know you. Your difficult task is to be able to have those conversations, the conversations around the Christmas table, whatever feast you celebrate. Those are very, very important. And they need to be respectful. And I think people will see that, because I think inherently we're respectful people. Inherently, we're decent people, and we care about who actually represents Canada on the world stage. You saw the Prime Minister today. He's got fire in his belly, even if he wanted you guys to take on me. That's something that I think is important to see. And I've been friends with the Prime Minister for 40 years this fall. We became friends actually randomly. We both joined the same high school. His dad just got out of politics in 1984, and we started going to secondary one or high school together. So we've known each other since then, 40 years in this fall. Wow. And you would expect someone like that, when going into politics, to give me advice. He doesn't give me all that much advice. Lets me figure things out. We're friends. Often we don't even listen to each other.
Good friends.
That's the nature of friendship. We've had lots of fights. We've had lots of agreements on things. We also have a respectful relationship because it's a professional one. You can have good relationships as friends, but professional relationships can break friendships. I'm very happy to have been able to keep that. He gave me one piece of advice, and it still stands today, because I think it's what makes him unique compared to other party leaders. Is when he said, Mark, when you meet someone, try and get something out of that conversation as opposed to going on looking for the next conversations. And you'll see these retail politicians that'll go around and we'll talk to someone, but you know that they're looking at the next important person in the room. And you guys see it, but I think you've seen with the Prime Minister that he cares about those conversations, and he gets something out of it. it's not a theatrical trick. It's just he gets something out of it. Helps him get through a really long day because otherwise it consumes you. But also the person speaking to them feels that they've been heard, they have been heard, and they're able to talk to their network about that. And I think that's true politics. You guys see it when someone comes up to you and they're on to the next person, or they don't actually care about the conversation in the first place. On scale, that permeates. And your job at the door is to do the same thing. Yes, it's a volume game, but those conversations need to be genuine. And I think when you're showing up here on a Saturday, it's a pretty good sign that you do care. I mean, look, that's it for me. I don't know the format today. I'm glad to take questions, or George and I can maybe 5 minutes can chat about whatever is on people's minds. But we've got to fight to win next election. We need you. We need more people. And I'm super glad that you showed up here today to just freshen up the relationships, freshen up the skill set, and hopefully, maybe I won't be trying desperately to win downtown Montreal, because if we are, I think we're in a bit of trouble, but I still need to win it, and I still need to show the people that elected me that I respect them. But hopefully I'll be at the doors with you here as well, trying to fight for every inch. And I think every inch in this matter, in this fight actually matters. And as you know, in a campaign, if you win the day and all the days add up, we will win the election. Thank you.